we can look at the tropical here. In the tropical, this would be in Virgo, and we also have Ketu there in Libra, so this would be a strong focus anyway. So it doesn't really matter if you use the Aditya here or the tropical classic, but with so many planets here, and you can still say, and I would say it anyway because I'm very direct about what I think, and here so many Virgo, and Virgo is not about your body, it's not about exchanging, it's not about relationship, it's more about work. And a main series that she was known for is not about working hard, it's not about service, it's about fashion, it's about being in this like social environment where people can talk about yourself, and it's about reputation in a social environment. So very socially oriented path, which has not really much to do with Virgo by itself. And so this, to me, so many planets in Twashta, for me here this confirms the Aditya Zodiac again. And in the Aditya Zodiac we also have Ketu in Vishnu, which is about manipulation. And I think the series, if you know the series she did, and you probably know that this is a actually. So Tumburu, in the story that my teacher was talking about, he says that this Tumburu, he plays a guitar, and I don't play guitar, but he plays a guitar. So I did the search and I found that Elvis Presley actually has the moon there. So it matched perfectly, and it matched perfectly Tumburu much more than me actually, because Elvis Presley actually plays a guitar and he has been very famous for being himself in a very, like, the 8th house is about doing something which is not really accepted, can be chaotic. So hard rock music here in Tumburu, the 8th house, can give that, and the Lord of the Moon is in Vishnu, very well placed. So that's a very good moon here. If he was alive, that would give him a very good So let's do a video. We are going to talk about the eclipse and the coming eclipse that is coming in 28th of August. So we're going to also present my software here, and so if you don't want to see the software presentation, you can skip to the reading. And if you don't like the reading, you can skip to the presentation. So this is a slightly different version that is available. There is more option here. This is actually the pro version of the software. In the free, not free, but the lite version, you have only 4 screens here, and here you have much more. So let's go to the eclipse panel. So here we have the eclipse on the 28th, and if I go there on the eclipse reading, let's wait for it to load up. So here we have the eclipse in France. We can, for example, use Alexandra Daddario, which this eclipse is going to hit Jupiter. So she has Jupiter in Dhata, and the moon is going to transit there. So here this is Aditya Zodiac. If we use the tropical zodiac, we would have here in Pisces instead. Here it's in Dhata, which is the equivalent of Aries. We are going to stay in the Aditya mode, but just so you know, this is Pisces in the classic tropical, which almost everyone uses in the Western world, in Europe, in the US, etc. So let's go back to the Aditya. So you can see here she has all those planets in the Aditya, in the Dhata part of the chart. And if you have watched one of my videos where I presented Dhata, I said it's related to children or protection, etc. And in the series that she's currently playing, she's currently playing some kind of woman with which is actually protecting a child, and a child is a bit specific, is kind of like possessed, or like a very, like it's some kind of magical world. And the Lord of Dhata here is afflicted in Bhaga, and Bhaga can be actually related to the dead or to the out-of-body experience, or trying to possess another body. So there's the affliction there. So I think that's why she's playing this character. And so, yeah, in the tropical zodiac we would say she's a witch, because it's Pisces, and Pisces is a spiritual realm. And that's what I would have said usually about a year or two ago. But here it's about protection. It's about protection, and it's someone who has a very fiery vibe actually, and who can get angry more easily, etc. So and for a woman, Dhata is actually like the first sign, so it's a connection to the body, and the ascendant itself, it's like the first sign, so it's a connection to birth. And if you're a woman, this can mean you like to birth new ideas, or at times it can also be exactly children. So here she has the moon transiting, so the eclipse point is transiting Jupiter here, which is well placed in this sign, and so it's triggering an event in her life. So I think in the series that she's currently playing, or the new one that she's actually if I found, let's make a pause so I find the article again. So I have the article here that I looked at for Alexandra Daddario, and so she seems to have a busy week. Oh, the light is too much, but yeah. So recent event, she has a New York filming in July through August. So she's doing a new series called Escorted. I don't know what it is about at all. Maybe we need to ask about that. So, romantic comedy. Explain the dynamic of modern intimacy, where the genuine connection can be. Serve as a female lead. Yeah. Cannot say too much about it. It seems they don't want to give too much details. But data usually can be about almost everything in a way, because it's the first sign, so you can work about anything here. But maybe if we look in a chart, if we use a trim samsha, we see it's in Tumburu, which is where I have my sun actually. And Tumburu can actually be about like how to say that. It's someone who is quite honest with themselves, and it can be about hooking up with someone actually, or doing comedy or having fun actually. So Tumburu, in the story that my teacher was talking about, he says that this Tumburu, he plays a guitar, and I don't play guitar, but he plays a guitar, and can be about like eating on someone or going on the street and talking to someone. So like, I think it's a straight up seduction, and it's the first part of what we would call Aries. So it's someone that goes to someone else and wants to hook up with someone else in a very direct way. So it can be about a direct kind of seduction, which I have been doing a lot in my life. I did that a lot, like direct confrontation and being straight up asking if you would like to go out with me or do something like that. So I did that a lot in my life. And so she has a moon there, and in a series, like for example in a series, another one which she plays with Dwayne Johnson, let's go to what she did. Let's make a pause, it's going to take too much time. So I asked the AI about the thing she did, and I wanted to see the Baywatch thing, because this is something that requires, I guess, a lot of confidence. And this is about the Dhata Aditya is about the body also. So if you look up here with Tumburu, there is also a connection to the first house. You see the first house being illuminated here in red, because this is a connection to the body. So those people can actually use their body in a very confident manner if the planet itself is not afflicted too much. Here in a chart, let's see if there is some affliction there on the moon, and there is none, so it's a good moon. There is not too much affliction there, so I think she's doing fine. And if ascendant is correct, it's actually falling in the 8th house also, so there is some hidden connotation there actually. Is this a chart? No, this is not a chart. That's the eclipse. Why did I... The moon is there. That I was reading the eclipse chart as if it was... Actually, she doesn't have the moon in Tumburu. I was describing the eclipse as if it was someone. Let's see if I found someone who was actually the moon there. So she has, let's describe her placement, because she doesn't have the moon in that actually. She has in Eti, and Eti is actually a much more like, it's a good Aditya. Every Aditya, or not Aditya, but the beings there, the Rakshasa, is, everyone can be positive, but this one is like about leadership and can be quite difficult to handle, because it's a very strict Aditya. Rakshasa, I keep saying Aditya. The Aditya is the main sign, and we have multiple beings in those sectors. And here it's about 80, so it's a bit different than Tumburu. And so it's not about the body itself. So probably the role she does is probably more connected to this one, which is the 7th house, and so that's probably this one actually, not Tumburu. And the 7th house connection can be about like exchanging or relationship, or be prepared for a relationship, which this Aditya, when it's there, it's working up to prepare the ground so a relationship happens in the next sign. And so let's go back to find someone with the moon there. So let's record that. So when you want to search here, you go to the find chart, and if you want to search, you put here, for example, I want to see the moon in the part of Dhata, and I want Tumburu, so I click here. I'm not going to search because it's going to show up private data. So I did the search, and I found that Elvis Presley actually has the moon there. So it matched perfectly, and it matched perfectly Tumburu much more than me actually, because Elvis Presley actually plays a guitar and he has been very famous for being himself in a very, like, the 8th house is about doing something which is not really accepted, can be chaotic. So hard rock music here in Tumburu, the 8th house, can give that. And the Lord of the Moon is in Vishnu, very well placed. So that's a very good moon here. If he was alive, that would give him a very good event during these transits. And actually, even if he's not alive, this can mean an event related to his legacy, what he created. So maybe some event will happen in which maybe some people or his record his legacy through music. Maybe some event would happen there, I'm not sure. I also found Thierry Lhermitte, which is a French comedian, probably unknown to those guys who live in the US, who may actually listen to this video. And so Thierry Lhermitte is a very he's a comic who talks about sex a lot. So 8th house is connected to sex, is connected to things that people are afraid to say. They are afraid to talk about that because it's the hidden part of life. And in his comedy, Thierry Lhermitte is very open about that, like very, very open. So we have another Tumburu here, and for me, when I have the sun there, I do talk openly about the subjects very easily. I'm not afraid to talk about it. And so we have another one, Thierry Lhermitte here. The moon is, let's see if there's some affliction there. Actually, there's none. And the Lord is in Parjanya with Rahu, so it's a bit extreme for him. That's why he's like a bit explosive about it, like he's a comedian that maybe exaggerate a bit about it, because the Lord of the Moon is Mars with Parjanya. And so I think some event may come up during that eclipse in this sign for him. You can actually, since I'm doing a presentation of the software, when you have this eclipse created in a file, which you can create using the predictive tools here, and you can see the active window is there. you can also, if you don't have this yet, because I didn't release this part yet, if you create the chart manually, you can slide it there, and if you slide it there in the transits, it's going to open in overlay mode outside the chart. So you can see here, this overlay here is actually the transits, as not transits, but an overlay which can be, you can use that also for compatibility. Here I'm using directly as a transit because it's eclipse transits here. It's a chart created for this eclipse. And if you load that person chart, you can have, you can see that here. Let's see Samuel L. Jackson. And we're going to talk about here is Saturn there exalted in Brahmapeta. So this sign is about exchange, and here Saturn is exalted, and it's very well placed, but there is also some difficulty because the moon is afflicting the Saturn there. So we have both the healthy expression. Let's read that. What does it say? So it's about the 4th and the 5th house. So this produce genuine happiness because the person is satisfied by their true purpose, because the 5th house is creativity, and it can be a creativity that is about your purpose. So let's see here, what does this activate? So the 4th house. One of the things you can do also is that you can look at this chart from the position of Twashta, which is the 7th sign. You click here on the 7th button, and you will have this chart as Twashta ascendant. And so if you go here, you can see that the 4th and 5th house from Twashta is Bhaga and Pusha. So it's about getting the wealth and stability from those very restrictive side. Bhaga is about focusing yourself in a direction, and Pusha is about restriction or community work, nourishing others through your work or your service. So those are very like Saturnian oriented sign. And when those are activated by Saturn, they are like, if Saturn is exalted, they are the ability to restrict yourself and focus on your path in life, which can be related to your creativity, and this is very good. When, like him, for Samuel L. Jackson, it's both at the same time. So one part is very good, but at the same time it's afflicted. So at times he will stray away from his path, and this can also create some difficulty at home because it's 4th house connection. So it can be like wealth or money or power can be something that distracts him, and his creativity at times will be distracted too. So let's see the afflicted expression. So they doesn't know what they need to do. It's obscured. Happiness is unclear. And we are at a clear mission. Spiritual life may be used as an escape, becoming a mimicry rather than a genuine development. Alternatively, the person creates from an ego and want validation rather than genuine. It's probably related to what he does in his movie, but usually he doesn't have full roles in his movie for some reasons. Or like from what I have seen, because he's a very old actor, I don't remember his role exactly in Pulp Fiction. It's been a long time. I didn't watch that movie. But probably if you know better the actor than me, because I don't remember that much, probably you would see something there, but I don't know exactly how this appeared in his life. So let's stop there for this video. We could do that also for the chart of Blake Lively. Like, she has all planets in Twashta, so it's all about exchanging things. Venus is actually very well placed here. Like, she played this role quite good, I think. But as always, when you have so many planets, some of them are afflicted. Like, Venus is afflicted by the moon here. You can see Venus here is afflicted by the moon. It's afflicted by the sun. So it's not perfect, but it's a very good Venus by itself, because it's in its own sign. And it's a Mula Trikona here, actually. Because that's what we call it in Vedic astrology. I'm not going to explain it. So yeah, probably this eclipse is going to be about her, because Twashta is relationship to others, but it's also your body as a project of yourself. So it's about crafting your body so that you look good around others. So this can be someone who can be a designer, can be working in fashion. And one of the first series was about like, she was the heir of a very strong family, I think, and we can see here the Bhaga is very strong in the 4th house here. So that's the wealth that she inherited in her role, I guess. And so yeah, we can see the Twashta very strong in her, and it's about exchange. And in the, like, we can look at the tropical here. In the tropical, this would be in Virgo, and we also have Ketu there in Libra, so this would be a strong focus anyway. So it doesn't really matter if you use the Aditya here or the tropical classic, but with so many planets here, and you can still say, and I would say it anyway, because I'm very direct about what I think, and here so many Virgo, and Virgo is not about your body, it's not about exchanging, it's not about relationship, it's more about work. And a main series that she was known for is not about working hard, it's not about service, it's about fashion, it's about being in this like social environment where people can talk about yourself, and it's about reputation in a social environment. So very socially oriented path, which has not really much to do with Virgo by itself. And so this, to me, so many planets in Twashta, for me here this confirms the Aditya Zodiac again. And in the Aditya Zodiac we also have Ketu in Vishnu, which is about manipulation. And I think the series, if you know the series she did, and you probably know, that this is about manipulation. It's about relationship also, because of course Vishnu, if you have sex with someone, which this is a very sexual sign, it's about relationship also, but it's more like the reward of the relationship. It's the after effect. So the Twashta itself is about the first interaction with someone. The opposite sex is Twashta. So it's about meeting someone, it's about making the first move, it's about talking to someone else, it's about being on the public side, like on the scene, talking about something or someone else. And it's the first starting point. The second house from this, so the second sign, from there it's the active relationship. So the relationship is there already at Vishnu, and you get the reward of the relationship. So what's the next step usually after you are in a relationship? It's about a deep trust that is required with Vishnu, and this is when manipulation can occur also through that. So it's about power, it's about receiving the gift of the relationship, so it's about consuming the marriage, for example. And so this can be a very scary thing for a lot of people, especially if it's afflicted. There is no affliction there. So here, a short reading with the Aditya. So I'm going to stop there. I wanted to show more about the software, but at the same time I didn't want it to be boring. So I went more with the flow. So thank you for watching, and hopefully I'm going to make maybe a more full presentation of that. We added like many screen feature. One of the things I added was a card of truth. So you see here for each sign we have a card of truth here. So for example here it's also related to the Four of Diamond, a life, and you can see obviously that it's related to wealth, her life, I would say, especially in that series, which probably reflect also who she is in real life. For those who doesn't know too much about actors, but often actors, they play their own role, especially if it's a long series. Usually if someone is very good at playing this role, this is because in their real life they also play this role. So it's often their own life which is reflected in a series, especially if there's many seasons. And so that's what I wanted to say. We can actually give an example also here, since the eclipse is falling in the Ace of Club here. It can be about love. The Ace of Club is a card related to love. So you can also do a prediction like that, like with this screen here. With this new software, if you look at an eclipse and you can see here the moon is falling in the Ace of Club, and you know what this card means, which can be about love. This means new love or new relationship, or something new about yourself, related also to Tumburu, or the planets which you have in those degrees. And the Twashta itself is in the Three of Hearts, which also can be about love, but with more than one people. So it's about exchanging love with more than one person. So it can be also about separation, because the three can be competition, and at times it can be about separation, or going out and finding your own love outside of just the close connection. So here we also have a very good Mercury. Ketu is not afflicting that Mercury. And what I wanted to say, so I almost forgot the eclipse itself. We have actually a nice eclipse here. If we just look at this eclipse itself, we have on the moon, if I can load this up, we have a square, only a square from Uranus and the moon. And Uranus itself is not too much hard on when it's casting an aspect. It's still a square, so there is some difficulty with creativity and something new that may come up, which may come up in a harsh way because it's still a square. But Uranus is usually a very good planet when it's aspecting something, because it's something new, it's something exciting, unless you doesn't like something new and exciting. If you like boredom, you may not like this planet. And so it's aspecting both the moon and the sun. So I think it's a nice eclipse. It's not something very hard. But I still want to check this screen for the series from this one. So if I check the first eclipse in this cycle, let's remove a chart. Where I'm going to do is it's going to be let's go there and load the first eclipse from there. So we actually have the chart here instead of, it's going to calculate that again. So this is the founding eclipse. I wanted to check if let's remove that and remove that also to make it more simple. So the founding eclipse, what kind of thing? We have square of Saturn and on the moon. So if we look up here, we have some difficulty here, which may bring up some difficulty with the ego. So maybe some delays, I would say, this founding eclipse, if it works as advertised by Ernst, our teacher, we would have some delayed event, like we would want to have something, but, or in order to get something, we would need to let go of something we don't want to let go, and some karmic event may delay the event itself. And the first eclipse here was in Amshu and the moon in Mitra. So it can be about friendship, meeting some friends. And the sun is in Amshu. So it can be about children or teaching or creativity. First time I actually look at the founding eclipse. This time I didn't prepare too much for this video. So I'm actually looking at it, and Venus is helping, I think. Let's see if Venus is squaring Jupiter. It's not directly influencing the eclipse, unfortunately, but it's a very good Venus here. What's influencing the sun? You have Jupiter influencing the sun, and the moon in a trine. Neptune is influencing the sun in a trine and a sextile. That's a good one. It's exactly actually in a trine with the sun, so Neptune may bring something unexpected. Neptune is kind of like the planet of not just illusion, like many people seems to think, I think it's more related to any event that can be manifested, and so it can be something related to your life path, about who you are emotionally. So it might be reveal something emotionally that you didn't know about yourself. And here, since it's in a trine, it could be something creative and about yourself, about your personality, about something you didn't know about yourself. So that's why people say illusion at times, I think, because something about yourself, about your emotion, about who you are emotionally, can be hidden from you because you don't know who you really are. And so this can be this illusion broken because you learned something about yourself that you didn't know existed, because we have some personalities at times which can be like very difficult to grasp. And so when we have this Neptune influence here on one of the consciousness planet, which can be the sun or the moon, and here it's influencing both, but more the sun itself, but it's a very strong influence. So I think it can be about discovering something new about who you are, maybe self-love, and the sun here being in this Amshu, it can be about a belief system also, that maybe a new belief system that you learn, or creativity, which a new kind of creativity that you learn about yourself, which bring you joy, because the moon, Neptune is connected to the moon. That's why they say it's the lord of the water, for example. And so emotion, joy, self-love can be grasped by a new belief system here. And friendship, so meeting someone, which a new friendship which can help you understand about who you are emotionally. So overall, I think it's a good eclipse, maybe some delays due to Saturn, and Pluto is also aspecting it, but it's a good aspect. So maybe something to destroy, but it's not going to destroy or let go of, but Pluto is fine in aspect, so it's going to destroy something, but something that you don't care about letting go. So let's stop this video. Hopefully you learn about this eclipse cycle, and just to remind it, the founding eclipse is like the birth chart of the eclipse itself, and so it's related to the eclipse. And here both those eclipses are relatively easy, and so I think it's going to be something good, not something that is going to be hard. So thank you for watching, and don't forget to like or subscribe if you like the video. So thank you for watching.